Alright guys, so now that everything is disassembled, we're at the point where we're going to start putting on the dual row kit. So it's really just going to be everything we just did but in reverse order. So I got it completely cleaned down. I took off all the gasket sealer that I could, and I wiped it all down with brake towels so that it's a pretty dry surface to put everything onto. First thing we're going to start putting on is going to be the bottom spline. Then I'm going to put on that, the bottom gear spline, and then we're going to put on the actual oil pump spline behind it. Then I'm going to start putting on the chain. So we'll start walking through that. So one thing I'm doing a little bit ahead of time is I'm putting the new seal in the oil pump. To do that, what is best from what I've seen is to take out the old seal from the old oil pump, and you're going to want to wet the ring of the new one with some oil and lay this flat on top of it, and using a soft hammer you'll want to tap the new one in, but making sure that it goes in straight and flush. Next, we're going to get back to the chain install. What we're going to do is we're going to put the top sprocket on just loosely for now, and we're going to loop the chain around it, and then we're going to start fitting the guide rails and the tensioner in place. Alright, so everything is back in place. This is the order of the splines. I have the new tensioner and the new metal guardrails in place. They're all torqued down. And I have the gear on. The way that you get this on is you have to first put on the guide rails, and you want to position the rails so that this one is the most outward as possible. You can see that, and you can adjust it later if it's not enough tension. And then after that, what you have to do is you have to first you have to I correct myself. The first thing you have to do once those bottom gears are on is you want to put the chain up here with the top sprocket on and bungee it to the top of your hood so that it's pulled taut upward. Then what you want to do is you want to put on the two guide rails, and you're going to want the one most outward for now, because you can always adjust it later if you need more tension. Then while it's upward and the guide rails are in place, then you can put on the tensioner. Once the tensioner is on, what you have to do is taking a screwdriver. I used a flathead and I put it through here, and I just pried up a little bit very gently to pop it onto the top. From here, I'm going to leave the jumper cable on just to keep it in place, and I'm going to start putting on some of the other lower stuff, like putting the timing cover back together, and just make sure you put fresh sealant on all of these things down here as well. Alright guys, so I have some earth-shaking news. I might have gone ahead and done a little bit too much while the camera was dead, and I'm here now, and my battery was dead, so I did not get so much footage. But basically, everything that you watched up to this point, if you rewatch it, it's the same process. The only thing that's different for the LCE kit is some of the bolts that you install in place of other ones are a little bit longer, and that's only due to the fact that you have a little bit of a bigger cover, and that's all covered in the LCE guide. So if you purchase the kit anyway, they tell you where the longer bolts go. Other than that, all I've been doing is just putting things back into place, and I'm just doing it in the same reverse order of what I did before. So right now I'm in the middle of putting the power steering pump in, and I already put the water pump and I set that up. I put the oil pump, and I have the crank and the chain in place. Both the bolts are threaded in, but they're just not torqued to spec yet, and I've just been chugging along from here. So now that the camera is back up and charged again, let's get back to work.
So I'll just give you guys a quick overview here. Now that everything's put back together, I did replace these radiator hoses, so the upper and lower ones are both brand new. You can see I have some red RTB holding on the valve cover, and I did do the baffle trimming that's required for the dual row upgrade. So I didn't manage to get that footage because once again the camera was dead. But that is completely covered in the LCE guide. You just have to drill out the spot welds and the little bracket piece comes out, and then you just have to ensure you get any sort of debris out of the valve cover. So you can see down here, I have all new belts on everything, and the fan is completely back installed, radiator, everything. There's just no fluid in here yet. And there's still oil in the car, so we're gonna drain that out and start from there.